Hello everyone, my name is Ahnaf and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can implement a Discord login system in Flask using a Python library called Zenora. So Zenora is a Python library that I've been working on for the last few days, and it allows you to synchronously access the Discord REST API, and also you can do OAuth 2 with it. Now this is not for the gateway API. For the gateway API, you should rather use something like discord.py or Hikari, but this is only for the REST API, and it also allows you to use OAuth. So yeah, let us actually use this. Also, I just released the OAuth features yesterday, so it's not on PyP yet. So what I did is I cloned this repository and I just put this over here, and now the code is all over here. So I'm going to use this. Now, I do plan on releasing it on PyP as fast as possible, but there's still some stuff that needs to be added before I make the next release. So that's why for now, you guys can just clone that repository and copy the Zenora folder, this folder, and then paste that in your project directory or something like that. So anyways, let us actually create a Flask application which has Discord login system. So for this, let's actually import Flask and just create a basic app. So we can do app. And sorry, my skills are a bit rusty today. I haven't been making Flask apps for a while. Anyways, so let's just return testing 1 2 3, and I'm not the type of guy who always writes hello world. Oops. So app.run debug true. Great, so let's actually run this. Python app.py. We go to the browser and localhost 5000. See, we have this over here. Great. Now let's actually integrate Zenora into it. But before we do that, we need to actually have set up like Discord OAuth 2, because Zenora just does the OAuth 2 magic. It gets the token, it allows you to access the users, guilds and stuff. Guilds have not been added yet, but they'll be added. But this is like up to you. You have to actually set up the OAuth 2 with your application, whether it be Flask or Django or Pyramid. You just have to do it by yourself, and I'm going to show you how to do this with Flask specifically. First of all, it's going to, you're going to have an OAuth 2 URI. It's going to have a redirect URI. I want this redirect URI to be in /OAuth/callback. Let's call it def callback, and this should return OAuth callback URL. Right, so we have this, and I want to actually put this in my bot's OAuth URL. Now I have this old Discord bot called Radon. I don't use it anymore. So let's actually take the OAuth 2 URL and let's add a redirect, and this is going to be HTTP localhost 5000. You enter your domain here, but since this is localhost for me, I'm going to enter localhost. And then the route is /OAuth/callback. We're going to add this, we're going to save changes, and we have this selected. And for this tutorial, I'm just going to use identity because I don't want email or guilds. If you're making a bot web dashboard, you should always use guilds, or else you can't have a way to actually match which guilds the person is in, the user is in. I'm going to copy this, and let's actually create a config.py. Config.py, you can have an OAuth 2 URL, and that's going to be this here. But we also want to have the bot token and the client secret. Now, I'm going to regenerate my credentials later, so it's not a problem for me to share them. Let me actually do client secret. So we actually require this, and the redirect URI as well. So we can have redirect URI, and that's going to be localhost 5000 /OAuth/callback. Great. We have these, and now go to the this over here. Now go to bot, copy token. Copy the token here. Go to OAuth again. Copy the client secret. And never share these two credentials with anyone. I'm just only sharing this because this is a video and I'm going to regenerate this later on, so I don't care. Anyways, I'm also going to import from urlib. Import parse, and every time if I ever need to make a change to the redirect URI, I don't want to be changing this every time I do that manually. So I want this to be automatically changed. So I'm gonna remove this part here, put nav string, and then you parse.quote. Since we imported parse over here, and boom, we have this over here. Now let's actually create a Zenora client. So the client will be, before we do that, we need to import Zenora. So from Zenora, import API client. Right. Have the API client here. Token will be our token. And then we should have validate token. This is a boolean. By default, I always recommend you put this to true. Like, it's always true by default, but you can set it to false. Now basically what this does is it actually verifies that your token is a valid token or not. But we're gonna need client secret for this one. So client secret, and that's gonna be client secret here. Because since we're doing a lot, we need client secret for this one. So we're gonna have this, and yeah, let's actually get started with this. So let us create a templates folder because I want to have, oh my bad. Yeah. Now let's actually create a, wow, I never knew VS Code does this to you. Okay, so I want this to be like a simple button here. And we can actually have an A tag, and then we have a button. So basically people will click this. Now it's going to log in with Discord. Now I want to integrate Bootstrap with it, but yeah, I'm too lazy and I can't be bothered to do that. Anyways, so I want to have Ginger2 here, and this will have the redirect URI, and I'm gonna pass this to Ginger2. So we can return, we can have import render template here, and then we can do render template text.html, and then we can have redirect URI, and that's gonna be redirect URI. I'm passing this to Ginger2. Yeah. We go to this page now. You see I have this button, login with Discord. Click this. It says we're having trouble finding the, oh yeah, never mind. It's not gonna be redirect URL, it's gonna be OAuth URL. And we're gonna send this to OAuth. Oh, my bad. OAuth URL. URL, whatever you want to use. Put this. We click this. Now says not a well-formed URL here. Why is that? Back here, URI localhost 5000 OAuth/fullback. It says not a well-formed URL. Why is that? Well, if you take a look closely, it says local shot and not localhost. We go back. This time it also says not a well-formed URL. This time it shouldn't be local shot. Yeah, it's still this. We refresh and boom, yeah. And now it's working here. So we can click authorize, and we should get a token back, a code back here. As you can see in the query argument, we have this code part here. If you go to the OAuth 2 API documentation, you're going to see that it returns you with this code. Now we want to actually receive an access token from this code here. So let's actually do something like that. Now we can go over here. From Flask, we can import the request. We're gonna need this later on. So we can import request from here. So request, and we can do code request.args.get code. Now let's not use get, because if some user visits this place without a valid code, I want this to be a bad request. I have this code here, and now I want Zenora to do the magic and give us the access token. So we can do client, the API client, OAuth.get access token. We need the code and the redirect URI. That's why I kept the redirect URI here. And then we make the redirect URI. That's how we get it. Now this will return us a OAuth response object. And if you take a look at this here, it returns you with OAuth response. And these are the properties that it's going to have. Access token, this is the part that we're interested in. Token type, well, Zenora actually knows what kind of token we're using. So you don't need to worry about that. And scope, well, these are the scopes for which this token has been provided for. Expires in, usually a token expires in 7 days, so I'm not very worried about this. Refresh token is a token, or like a really simple piece of simple piece of code that you can make your client to use. Maybe you're using React, JavaScript, or even Flask. You can make this, like, make your client use this, and in case the access token expires, you can make a request with this token, and then Discord will return you a new, fresh access token out of the oven. But we don't require this. The only thing we need right now is the access token here. So I'm just going to use the yeah, so we get the OAuth response. Now I want to return and see this access token. So OAuth response dot access token. We have this here. We have access token, and then if I want to actually see what happens this time, so I'm going to return this access token here. So authorize, and boom, we have a access token here. Now let me actually show you a really cool part right now. So since we have this OAuth response here, oh, I did a bad spelling. Since we have this here, we can now use this access token to construct an API request. So let's actually call it token, and then I can just do dot to access token. That's one thing we can do. Now let's actually call it OAuth, or we can just call it bearer client. Bearer client. And let me actually take a look at how Zenora did it. I mean, how I actually did it yesterday. We're gonna have this part here. So basically, bearer equals true is whenever you're using an OAuth access token, you need to enable this. And now we can get the current user. So we can get the current user, and the current user is basically the corresponding user, like the user that corresponds to the access token that we have got here. We're gonna get the current user, and that's gonna be bearer client dot users dot get current user. This is going to return as an own user object. If we take a look at this here, see it's actually inheriting from a user. So users over here, up here, has tons of properties, just like a normal Discord user. Now we can return a stringified version of this current user here. Let us do OAuth again. Okay, click authorize. Take a look at this. It returns me some stuff here. Now, yeah, this is what you've got here. So we can actually wait. Let's just do something like this here. Okay, invalid coordinate request. That's fine, I guess. And we want to store this user, at least its ID in the session, or maybe we only want to store the access token. So we can actually have Flask session here, and then we can also set a secret key. So we can have app.config secret key. That would be very secret. So this is just a secret key here. Once we have this, I want to redirect this user to the home page. So we can have we can get the access token. So session token, and this would be access token. So we want to put this here, and then over here, I want to return this guy and redirect him. Return redirect slash. So I want to redirect the user here. So we're gonna have this in session. So now, what I want to do is I want to go to auth URL here, like authorize. Now it's gonna redirect us over here. But now we are actually logged in because this doesn't throw an error. That means our session is working. Now we can get this access token for the session. So we can have something like if token in session. That means if we have a token in the session here, we can create a bearer client. So we can have bearer client, and that's going to be API client. And the token is going to be session dot get token. We can do session dot get token, and then bearer true And here we want to get the current user. Current user would be bearer client dot users dot get current user, and I want to print index.html with this. So return render template index.html, and then the current user would be current user. So if we have a token in the session, since Flask sessions are encrypted, as far as I know, there's no way to corrupt this session, so we should be okay if we only check this part. So if we have a token in session, we can get the user from here, and then we can get the current user. Anyway, so we can go to the, oh, my bad. Why did I open up this here? Okay. So I can go to index.html here, and I want to have the current user. So let's do something like in Jinja2, if current user, and let's actually have an else block. So if the user is logged in, we want to actually like put something else in there. And then if the user is not logged in, we want to have login with Discord. So we can have end if here, end if. Now I want to actually print out logged in. Like just for now, I'm gonna get the user. I'm gonna like go through. Like I'm gonna display the user data later. But right now, I also want to have a logout page, and the logout page will clear our session here. So we can have app.route /logout def logout, and this would be session.clear return redirect. This is going to return us here again. Okay, or we can have a logout button here. So we can have something like this. If current logged in, we also want to have a button here. Have /logout. Have logout. If I refresh, you see it says I'm logged in here. Why is that? Because you see when we went through the API callback, it said the session token. Now it's in and now the token is in session. And if I click logout, and if I refresh this again, it logged me out and it says login with Discord. If I go over here, if I authorize the bot, and Zenora does the OAuth stuff, it says logged in. Now let's do the fun part. We're going to display the user data. So we can have something like logged in as current user.username hashtag, and we want to have the discriminator. Current user.discriminator. I always mess up the spelling here. Okay, and then I want to have the ID, which will be my ID, or the current user's ID. If you're the one who's logging in, it's going to be your ID. Great. We're going to have this. Now let's actually put this here. What else does this offer us? Current user is going to be own user. But anyways, if I refresh now, see this out. Like, check this out. Sorry, my bad. It says I'm currently logged in as this user, and this is my ID here. So this is the fun part. We successfully implemented a OAuth application here. Now let's actually do something even more amazing here. We can have our own avatar here. We can actually go to user, own user. We can go to avatar URL. That's going to return as a PNG here. So we can have current user.avatar URL. So in our index.html, we can do something like current user.avatar URL. It's going to give us the avatar URL. Oh, my headphone got stuck into my hair. A style, let's just put inline styles. I never recommend putting inline styles, but this is just a really simple HTML file, so I don't think there's any bad in doing this. So style, I want the height to be 200 pixels, width 200 pixels, border radius, I want this to be 50%. Now this has been refreshed. If we see this, look at this. This is my epic Doge EFP here. So this is how you implement OAuth with Zenora and the Discord API. So as you can see, if I log out now, it shows me login with Discord. If I click login, I can click authorize. And now it's gonna like take a while because it's like my internet's not that good. And that says I'm logged in as this user here. Now, this is really cool. So anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video. Also, if you like my libraries in Nora, please start this repository. I'll really appreciate it. So anyways guys, have a good day. Bye.